Watch me draw a lesbian mermaid and her clam hunting princess as I tell you the tale of how I got stuck on an island with a crazy person who wanted me to sleep with her ex-boyfriend to convince him that he should get back together with her. So many years ago, when my dad kicked me out of the house for dating a rock star, that's a whole story in itself there, but we're gonna skim by it for now. I happened to find myself homeless and in a shelter where I met Molly. Molly was a very ambitious person and pretty charismatic, and we became friends really quickly. Originally, she wanted to start a business with me, and we were going to go around cleaning houses to try and beat the rat race and work for ourselves. And that, of course, failed because we had no idea what we were doing, and I was in school and working two jobs so I could try and get out of the shelter, and neither of us really had the time or money to go spending on building a business from the ground up. But we kept in touch after I moved out and moved in with my grandpa in Florida. Anyways, probably a year goes by, or at least close to a year, and Molly calls me up and says she is now living in the Keys. If you're not familiar, the Keys are a series of islands off the coast of Florida. She said she was living in a nice apartment and she's making so much money babysitting for this rich doctor lady, and life is so good, and she's trying to start another business, but this time it's a performing arts studio. And she wants me to just do all the graphic design work, and she'd pay me great money for the designs, blah, 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 blah. I admit I was stupid. In fact, this entire story can be summed up, I was stupid. And I trusted her and put literally hours of work into these designs for her, and she paid me like maybe $40 total. I do remember when she was doing her grand opening, she had me buy prints of her brochures and business cards from the Staples near her so she could go pick them up, and then she told me she'd reimburse me. I have no idea why I didn't take that as a super big red flag that apparently she's so put together and making so much money, and she's got this studio and apartment and everything, but she can't afford to print her own shit and she just wants to reimburse me. But, you know, I was desperate to make money with my art, and I really saw this as an opportunity, and hindsight is always 20/20 anyways. So a few weeks go by, and she did in fact reimburse me, but never paid me the amount we agreed on for the work, which was closer to about $1,000. She now calls me up and tells me she's planning some big things and really needs a designer in-house to help her build sets and shit, and she paid me so much money, and she has this place for me to stay and everything. So again, I was stupid, and I believed her. I got on a bus and I spent a couple $100s to get down to the Keys because, again, I was stupid. You know, this is what happens to kids who grow up in cults. We have no idea how the real world works, and we don't know a red flag when it's slapping us in the face. So I get down there, and first of all, there's no apartment. There was a studio in the middle of nowhere that she was illegally living out of. It didn't have a bathroom, so in the middle of the night, if you had to take a piss or a shit or a shower, you had to walk across the park to a public gym and use their facilities without them knowing, because we weren't members. And there was just no other option. And already I was feeling like this was a terrible, terrible idea. But hey, I had to make the most out of a bad situation, right? So first day, I don't even get to settle in because she's been on her phone on Facebook tracking her ex-boyfriend. I knew she kind of still had a thing for him, but what I did not know was that she moved down here to be with him, and he didn't even know she was there at the time. She brings me to the dog park because I guess he posted that he was at the dog park, and she goes and finds him and introduces us, and she was trying to push us together, like trying to get us friendly, because in her mind, if I'm friends with him, then she now has a reason to be around him more. A few days go by, and although these days were packed with just absolute crazy people bullshit that I can't get into it all for the sake of time, but in short, she used me as free labor to help with the babies she sits for. She sold me her car by having me take my entire $1,400 I had left in savings, then went and bought a brand new phone with it in front of me, did not give me the car, and said I was insane if I thought I could have her car for that little, did not give me the money back because she had just spent it, and had me work as a free stagehand for her church's production of Annie. Nothing was actually going on in her studio. There was no work for me to do except manual labor for her. On my final day there, my final straw, if you will, we were at her babysitting job when she tells me to come into the bedroom with her. Her boss's bedroom, by the way, that she was not permitted to go into. She tells me to look at the bedspread. There was an obvious milk stain on the bed, and I was like, yeah, what about it? It's milk. There's 3 kids here. There's going to be stains on everything. She says, no, it's semen. It's my ex's semen and she's banging him. I was like, your boss does not know your ex-boyfriend. How the hell did you come to this conclusion? And she's like, oh, well, obviously they met through me on Facebook somehow, and they're doing this behind my back. She gives no solid proof of this, and at this point, I'm planning to cut my losses and figure out how to leave. We get back to the studio, and she happened to invite her ex over. I don't know why he came, but I guess he's just as dumb as I was, because she told him I was interested in him or something. Then once he gets there, she tells me to leave. It's the middle of the goddamn night, and I had no idea where I was. I had never been to the Keys before, so I just went into the bathroom, and I cried. I cried, and I cried, and I felt like such a stupid idiot for trusting this crazy woman with essentially my life. And now I had no money, no way to get home, and I was entirely dependent on this nut job. I hear screaming outside, and I go out, and she comes running to me and is like, please, you need to call him. You need to get back. You need to get him back here. You need to tell him that you'll sleep with him or something. Just tell him anything. Just get him back here because I need to see him. And finally, I told her to her face, no. I finally said no. I said, you're a crazy bitch. He doesn't want to be with you, and you need help. We go back into the studio, and she starts running around, slamming the walls, screaming, slamming the doors in front of me, and she's yelling that I'm doing it while I'm just in the corner trying to pack my suitcase. She's screaming, you're breaking my door, you're breaking the door, you're going to have to pay me if the landlord finds out that you broke the door. Denting things, just being an absolute psycho. I was terrified for my life. And then she starts being insulting, too. She was saying that my art was amateur and I didn't deserve $1,000 for my work and that she could have done a better job. And she just wanted to help me out because I was a friend, just being extremely mean for a situation that was entirely her fault. Being salt in the wound for literally no reason other than she was pissed that I wasn't going to call up her ex-boyfriend and tell him I would sleep with him. Following day, she dropped me off at a McDonald's with no money, no way of getting home, and drove away. And that was it. That was the last time I saw her, will be the last time I ever see her or have anything to do with her. Thankfully, I was able to get on a bus with the help of my family and get back home where I was safe and secure and made the decision to just never, ever trust a single person ever again unless I knew for a fact I could have complete trust in them. And yeah, I learned a lot from this. And if you enjoyed that tiny bit of drama about my life, let me know. And maybe I'll make this a series. Trauma dumping while creating beautiful gay things. Anyways, if you like this design, you can buy it from the merch link on my website. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one.